My parents ghosted my graduation, then asked for $2,100, and called police when I said no. I always imagined my graduation day as the moment everything finally made sense: the long nights, the stress, the debt, the loneliness. I pictured my parents cheering, my mom crying happy tears, my dad clapping proudly. I pictured a family photo I could frame forever. But reality? Reality hit like a punch to the chest. The morning of graduation, I texted them. Leaving now. Ceremony at 10. Seats are open, please don't be late. No reply. I tried calling 3 times. Blocked? Phone off? I didn't know. I kept telling myself maybe they were on their way, maybe they'd surprise me, maybe they were saving their energy for the celebration afterward. I held on to whatever hope I could. But as my name echoed through the auditorium and I walked across the stage, the seat I saved for them stayed empty. Both of them. Not one. Both. I forced myself to smile for the crowd, but my hands were shaking. Every student around me had someone cheering: parents, siblings, cousins, even neighbors. My section was silent. After the ceremony, I stood alone outside in my gown, while everyone else hugged their families and took pictures. I kept checking my phone, waiting for a text, a call, something. Nothing. It was like I didn't exist. By 3 p.m., I gave up and went to my car. I sat there for 10 minutes, staring at my phone screen, trying not to cry. I even drafted a message. Did something happen? Are you okay? I deleted it. Later that evening, while I was eating reheated noodles in my tiny apartment, still in my graduation gown, I finally got a text notification. From Mom. Relief washed over me, until I opened it. Hey. We need you to send $2,100. Urgent. Transfer tonight. No congratulations. No apology. No mention of graduation. Just money. I stared at the message, numb. I replied. Where were you? No answer. Then Dad texted. Send the money. It's important. No explanation. No, we're proud of you. Just demands. I typed slowly. I can't. I spent everything on tuition, rent, and graduation fees. 5 seconds later, my phone rang. Dad. Voice angry. Sharp. You're being selfish. We raised you. You owe us. Dad, I literally graduated today. And you think that means anything to us? We need the money. Send it. I felt something shift inside me. A line. A final limit. I said no. Silence. Then a click. He hung up. I thought that was the end of it. I was wrong. The next day at 7 a.m., I woke to banging on my door. Not tapping. Banging. I opened it half asleep, and found 2 police officers standing in the hallway. Are you, name? Yes. We received a report of elder financial neglect. My heart dropped. What? From who? Your parents. I couldn't breathe for a second. My own parents. Who skipped my graduation? Who ignored my messages? Who demanded money minutes after the biggest moment of my life? Who didn't even ask how I was doing? And when I said one word, no, they reported me like I was some criminal. The officer stepped into the apartment, asking questions. Do you financially support your parents? Do they rely on you? Did you refuse necessary money for their medical care? Medical care? My parents were perfectly fine. They just wanted money they didn't earn. I showed the officers my texts. The dates. The timing. The threats. The lack of any graduation acknowledgement. It took 10 minutes for them to realize what this was. Manipulation. Punishment. Emotional blackmail. One officer sighed. Unfortunately, we get cases like this sometimes. Family disputes. Family. The word felt dirty on my tongue. After they left, I sat on my bed, shaking. Not because I was scared, but because it finally hit me. They didn't forget my graduation. They didn't miss it accidentally. They didn't get stuck in traffic. They ghosted me because they saw no benefit in showing up. And the moment I refused to be their wallet, they tried to punish me. That was the moment something inside me hardened. The version of me who begged for love? Who waited for validation? Who hoped they'd change? He died that day. And the person who took his place wasn't going to be controlled anymore. Not by guilt. Not by fear. Not by family. For 2 days after the graduation, I didn't contact them. A part of me hoped they would at least text, pretend they cared, pretend they didn't forget one of the biggest days of my life. But silence stretched like a cold hallway, and I walked through every inch of it alone. On the third evening, as I was finishing my shift at the cafe, my phone buzzed. Mom. I stared at the name glowing on my screen. For a second, I felt relief. Finally, they remembered. I answered. Her voice was calm. Too calm. Hey. So listen, we need $2,100. My breath stopped. No apology. No, how was graduation? Just a number, delivered like a bill. For what? I asked, keeping my voice steady. Your dad's truck insurance. We're short this month. Just transfer it. You're working now. And you couldn't even show up to my graduation? She sighed, annoyed, as if I were a child asking for a toy. We had things to do. Stop being dramatic. Anyway, when can you send the money? Something inside me cracked, not loud, not sudden. It was a quiet, painful fracture built from years of being treated like an afterthought. I'm not sending it, I said finally. I needed you at graduation, but you didn't care. So no. I can't help you right now. The silence on the phone turned poisonous. Then she laughed. Not funny laughed. Mocking laughed. So this is who you are now? Ungrateful? Acting like we owe you something? You're my parents, I said softly. Showing up wasn't too much to ask. She hung up. I thought that was the end. But 1 hour later, while I was changing at home, a heavy knock rattled my door. Police. Open up. My stomach dropped. I opened the door to 2 officers standing stiffly, hands on their belts. Are you, name? The taller one asked. Yes, what's going on? We received a report claiming you threatened your parents over money. My brain froze. What? They asked me for money, and I said no. The officers exchanged a look, as if they had already guessed the truth. Mind if we talk inside? I nodded and stepped back. They entered, glanced around, and asked me to explain everything. I told them about the missed graduation, the sudden demand for $2,100, the call, the insults, everything. By the time I finished, one officer sighed. Sounds like they're upset you didn't pay. But there's no evidence of any threat. We'll file this as a family dispute, nothing more. Relief hit me, but only for a second. Because when the officers left, my phone lit up with a message from Dad. You think you can disrespect us and walk away? You will learn. My hands shook. For the first time in my life, I realized something painful. Maybe they weren't just uncaring. Maybe they were dangerous. After the police left and my dad's threatening message glowed on my screen, something inside me hardened. All my life, I had begged them for approval, attention, even the smallest sign that I mattered. But the graduation, the money demand, the police call. That was the moment the illusion finally shattered. The next morning, I blocked them both. No drama. No final speech. Just silence, the kind that heals. But my parents didn't like losing control. They started messaging my relatives, telling everyone that I was crazy, violent, and ungrateful. Soon my aunt called, confused, asking what I did. I sent her one thing. A photo of my empty graduation seat next to 2 chairs labeled reserved for parents. She didn't need any more explanation. Within hours the family group chat exploded. Turns out, this wasn't the first time my parents had done something like this, they just never expected their behavior to be exposed. My aunt, furious, confronted them publicly. And suddenly my parents went quiet. A week passed before I got a final message, this time from my mom. "You embarrassed us. Don't contact us again." I stared at the screen, then laughed softly. They were disowning me for something they did. But here's the truth. I wasn't losing parents. I was losing the chains that kept me small. I used the silence to focus on myself, my job, my goals, my peace. I learned to celebrate my wins without waiting for their applause. Months later, I received something I never expected. An award from my university for academic excellence. A ceremony. A moment filled with pride. This time, I invited no one. I walked on stage alone, lifted my certificate, and felt something stronger than anyone's approval. Freedom. And when the crowd cheered, for once, I believed I deserved it.